On a stormy evening, heavy rain covered the quiet streets of Ashford City. Outside a small community home for children, a tiny basket rested near the front gate. Inside was a newborn baby wrapped in a simple gray blanket. There was no expensive jewelry, no family name, and no clue about his parents. Only a short note remained. Please give him a chance to live a happy life. One day, the truth will find him. The home's caretaker, Mrs. Evelyn, gently picked up the baby and smiled. You'll never be alone again. She named him Ethan. Years passed. Ethan grew into a kind and hardworking young man. He wasn't the strongest or the smartest, but everyone admired his generous heart. Whenever another child was sad, Ethan was the first to comfort them. If someone had no lunch, he quietly shared his own. Although life was difficult, he never complained. Every birthday, Ethan stood near the front gate for a few minutes, wondering if someone would come looking for him. No one ever did. Across the city lived Victor Hale, one of the country's most successful entrepreneurs. His businesses employed thousands of people, and his success made headlines everywhere. Yet behind the cameras and awards, Victor carried a silent regret. More than 20 years earlier, the woman he loved had disappeared without explanation. Before leaving, she had written only one sentence. Take care of your dreams. I'll take care of ours. Victor searched for years, but never found her. As time passed, he buried himself in work, hoping success would fill the emptiness in his heart. It never did. One weekend, Victor visited the children's home to announce a scholarship program. The children welcomed him with songs and laughter. While walking through the building, he noticed a young volunteer carefully repairing old books with tape and glue. Victor stopped. Those books are very old, he said. Why spend so much time fixing them? The young man smiled. Because someone might still need the story inside. Victor couldn't explain why those words stayed with him. Before leaving, Mrs. Evelyn handed Victor a dusty storage box. We're cleaning our archive room. These belong to children who arrived here many years ago. Most families never returned. Victor thanked her and placed the box in his car. That night, curiosity led him to open it. Inside were faded papers, tiny baby clothes, and a gray blanket. Victor stared at it in complete silence. His heartbeat quickened. Years ago, he and the woman he loved had chosen that exact handmade blanket together at a small neighborhood market. Could it simply be a coincidence? Or was fate quietly bringing two lives back together? Victor looked out the window into the rainy night, holding the blanket tightly. For the first time in many years, hope returned to his heart. He whispered softly, "If you're really out there, I'll find you." Victor barely slept that night. The old gray blanket lay on his desk, bringing back memories he had tried to forget. Deep inside, he felt there was more to the story. The next morning, he returned to the children's home. Mrs. Evelyn welcomed him with a warm smile. I wasn't expecting you back so soon. Victor held up the blanket. Can you tell me anything about the child who arrived with this? Mrs. Evelyn thought quietly. It was many years ago. A baby was left here during a heavy rain. There was no name, only this blanket and a short note. She carefully opened an old record book. The baby was named Ethan. Victor's heart raced. Just then, Ethan walked into the office carrying a box of donated books. Good morning, he said with a smile. Victor looked at the young man for a long moment. There was something familiar about him, not just his face, but his calm nature and kind eyes. Instead of asking personal questions, Victor simply said, I need someone honest to help with a new community project. Would you be interested? Ethan nodded. I'd be happy to help. Over the next few weeks, they spent more time together. Victor noticed that Ethan always put others before himself. When an elderly neighbor struggled with groceries, Ethan rushed to help. When children needed school supplies, Ethan quietly used his small savings to buy notebooks and pencils. One evening, Victor asked, if you could have anything in the world, what would you choose? Ethan smiled gently. A family, but if that's not possible, I'd like every child growing up alone to feel loved. Victor lowered his eyes. At that moment, he realized true wealth wasn't measured by money. It was measured by kindness. Wanting answers, Victor hired a professional researcher to trace the few records connected to the blanket and the note. Several weeks later, The researcher returned with unexpected news. The woman Victor had loved had faced serious hardships years ago. Before she passed away from an illness, she had left a letter explaining everything. She had placed Ethan somewhere safe because she believed he would have a better future. She had hoped that one day the truth would reach both of them. Victor read the letter with tears in his eyes. Although many years had been lost, one thing was clear. Neither of them had ever stopped caring. The following weekend, Victor invited Ethan to a quiet garden. There were no reporters, no cameras, only 2 chairs beneath a large tree. Victor handed Ethan the letter and the gray blanket. After reading it slowly, Ethan sat in silence. Finally, he looked at Victor. "So all these years?" Victor nodded. "I was searching without knowing where to look." For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Ethan smiled warmly. "We can't change yesterday." Victor looked at him. "But we can choose tomorrow." Victor's eyes filled with tears. "I've missed so many birthdays, so many moments." Ethan gently placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then let's make the days ahead count." From that day on, they didn't try to replace the past. Instead, they built a new future together. Victor expanded his scholarship program across the country. Ethan became the director of a foundation that supported children with education, books, and opportunities to follow their dreams. Years later, whenever people praised Victor for his success, he would smile and reply, "The greatest gift I ever received wasn't a business or an award. It was a second chance." And Ethan often reminded the children, "Your beginning does not decide your ending." Kindness, hope, and courage can open doors that fear never will. The gray blanket was placed inside a simple glass frame at the foundation's entrance, not as a symbol of sadness, but as a reminder that even the smallest act of hope can change a life forever.